what the hell are feature flags actually?
We can use it for targeting audience. We can use it to automate some of the processes related to feature flags. I would say is to use feature flags as a kill switch for some of our features.
Makes even deploying on Friday evening not so scary with feature flags. Hello everybody, welcome to the NextGen Web Podcast. In today's episode we are going to talk about feature flags. If you like this content, please feel free to like, subscribe and leave the feedback in the comments. It's very much appreciated. So Philip, today we are going to talk about feature flags, but maybe you can tell us what is going on in the projects right now. Any news, any interesting tools you've used in the recent weeks?
Yeah, long time no see, so it's nice to be here in the studio again and see you. So right now, when it comes to my programming work, I have some side projects on my mind, experiencing with new stuff. So I've been using the V0 lately, using my free prompt. I am really happy about the course of action with this product. One thing that is really cool right now is that we can use external resources with V0 right now. It was introduced like a few days ago after publishing our episode about V0. So right now we can use external APIs. The showcase I was seeing from V0 profile on X was with creating a person card with randomized data, and this data was populated by like a random generated data API, which was external and not inputted in any way by the user. So it may not seem like a big feature, but it opens new doors for prototyping, and overall seems really good. And besides that, I was into like really visual stuff, animations, scrolling animations, parallax scrolling, and all of that stuff. I wasn't really liking it at the beginning. I had some commercial project that involved a lot of this stuff, a lot of operations, mostly with scroll. It was in last year, I think, and I was hating it. Every second of working with these animations was really stressing for me to balance between overall appealness of this website and performance stuff. So it was really hard, but right now we have some new libraries for it, and overall I think Next and Tailwind is much more better suited for stuff like that. So it's really nice, and it's nice to broaden your horizons once in a day. And what about you? What are you up to?
I mean, I will come back to the V0 chat for a moment. The things you said, for example, the animations, the parallax effects, they seem to be stuff that you have to Google a lot just to have the proper solution, and then afterwards to optimize it so that your website is not laggy was always a big challenge. So the V0 chat comes as a hero for us here. But also another case, I was using V0 chat lately, which was pretty interesting, was rather using it not to generate the code, but rather taking advantage of its knowledge about Next.js. And I was pretty amazed from the results I've got from like just complex debugging. So basically, the cool thing is in the V0 chat is that it doesn't hallucinate with the data. And when it generates the response, you have also links and references based on which the response was generated.
Nice.
So I had some cases in a big commercial project where the issue was like very deep in the kind of the Next.js ecosystem, and the debugging just took me so much time. And I just made a pretty decent prompt, described what the issue was, and then like 15 minutes the issue was solved. So for like debugging within the Next.js ecosystem, I would say this is a great tool. So yeah, our project manager was very happy that we managed to fix that in a much shorter time than we estimated. So overall, I would say V0 Chat was a big success, actually.
Yeah, the one thing we missed in our recent episode is that we focused on like the generating UI with V0,
Exactly, yeah.
but we also need to remember that V0 Chat is a great place of knowledge, I would say, about Next.js ecosystem. It's like an interactive guideline, interactive docs for Next.js, so it's really cool.
Yeah, you can kind of imagine that you have like a senior engineer that has like 5 years or more in Next.js that you have just, on command, you can ask him anything, which is cool. That is a very big leap forward. Yeah, any tools besides V0 have you used lately? Any interesting tech you want to mention?
Not strictly programming ones. I think I am trying to switch more into like a minimalist productive setup when it comes to my tech stuff. I'm switching to Arc browser recently. I'm exploring it, kinda using it with Google Chrome, switching between them. Mostly Arc for like my personal use and Chrome for testing purposes when I develop anything. And also I've been exploring Notion more, using it for various to-do lists, etc. And about Arc, one interesting thing is the recent, I would say, security incident that Arc is using Firebase and it's not as secure as it may seem for their backend, but they gave a response that they are moving away from it. And the person that found this, let's not say breach, but vulnerability, received a prize for it. So it's sometimes nice to be a bug bounty hunter.
Yeah, always nice to get a little extra paycheck.
Yeah, I am always amazed by the people from the pen testing and security world. It's like nice to see them working on something and trying to break your website in every possible manner and using tools that you see for the first time. So yeah, it's always crucial to remember about security things in your products, regardless if this is a web page or web browser or any other product. Right now, this breaches and data leaks would be really costly for owners, as we saw with the CrowdStrike incident.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, from my side, maybe one quick update. In a new project, we've tested a new CMS for us. We were actually using Content Stack.
Mm-hmm.
And I gotta say, first impressions are very nice. I mean, the developer experience, you can tell that they've put a big emphasis there just to make your life easier. And just the integration with Next.js, we are also using the GraphQL client. And yeah, as for now, I would say everything is working smoothly, and I hope it stays this way. But yeah, as for now, I would say this is a pretty good pick as for a headless CMS.
Nice.
Yeah, so I think that would be the quick tech update from our side. If you guys have any tech tools you find very useful on a day-to-day basis, feel free to share them in the comments. Okay, so I guess we can dive into the topic. So what the hell are feature flags actually?
Yeah, so the term feature flags can be really abstract, I think. Like when you first hear it, you may not know what is it about. Is it about flagging something? Is it about debugging? Maybe you can say so, but I like to describe feature flags as a tool that lets us enable and disable modules in our application. So basically, if we run an application that is currently production, we may use it in development mode, of course, but mostly where we see feature flags is in big enterprise-grade applications that have a lot of users, and sometimes we need to test a new feature. And hopefully we would like to test it for some part of our audience. And we don't want to just push the code into main branch and
see what happens.
Right.
Yeah.
But you want to, for example, use it only for 1% of users or something like that. Then feature flags come in handy, because we can mark this feature as something experimental and enable it only for several users or something like that. So basically, feature flags enable us to toggle some application features, and we don't have to modify the source code or push constant redeploys.
Sure. Yeah, that's a great explanation what feature flags are. And just a quick visualization of a potential use case. You can imagine a product site in an e-commerce store, and let's say this e-commerce store has millions of views every day. And what we want to do is first safely roll out another feature. And another very popular use case would be not only rolling out safely, but also conducting some kind of A/B testing, for example.
Yes.
So let's say we have a layout A for e-commerce product, and we have a new design, a new user experience, which would be the design B. And what we want to do right now is actually roll out both of these features simultaneously and basically conduct testing, for example, which layout would convert better in sales. So one, this is very good for like the more developer side and being safe on the production, especially if you have a big production app where you have millions of users and pretty much every second of downtime equals a lot of money burnt. And the other use case would be more business oriented, where, for example, the marketing team can switch off the toggles or, for example, target one variant of the layout for the specific audience and just choose the better version, for example, which converts better. So this is very handy tool in many aspects, I would say.
Yes, the one more use case I would say is to use feature flags as a kill switch for some of our features. For example, we have a feature that may cause issues in future. We have the safe way to disable it without modifying our source code, and we can use it just in time, we can say. So if anything happens, we can just disable it, work on the solution for that, and enable it again without making a lot of redeploys and stuff like that. So this is also a use case, maybe not as popular as A/B testing, but also it's a possibility, right?
Sure, yeah. We have basically a good use case of feature flags. So we have a big commercial project going on right now, and we are using Unleash for feature flag management, both with Next.js. And I gotta say, in a big production app with a lot of users, just the amount of flags being used there by the marketing team is pretty big. But it enables them to do a lot of testing, and basically every new feature they roll out is being measured very precisely, so they never basically roll out new feature and just see what happens. Everything is made in a safety manner. We test it, we see the conversion rates, and then we can implement the new feature based on the data, which is very important. So yeah. The feature flags, the quick overview what the feature flags really are. So I guess we can jump into the usage of feature flags in Next.js specifically, as Next.js pretty much in every space tries to simplify our work So
Yes.
the same case goes in the feature flags management.
Right, so we know what feature flags are and why we would like to use them, but right now we have the question how to actually implement them.
Exactly.
So we have a nice thing that is called Flags SDK from Vercel, and it allows us to use feature flags both in Next.js and, for example, in Svelte. But we are, of course, going to focus today on Next.js as we are mostly working with Next.js. So right now we can use our SDK with the app router. And basically the implementation is really simple as the SDK exposes to us a function called flag. So the only thing that we would like to do is call it and like link it to a variable, and in this flag function we have two arguments. First of all, we have a key name, which is pretty self-explanatory, how we would like to name our feature flag, and the second thing is the decide function, which is a function that returns us a boolean, and this function decide is deciding if the feature flag is toggled or not. So basically that's it. We call it into our component, and we have our feature flag. So probably right now you see some basic code examples of how these things are looking.
We can jump in and just pull out the code example really quick on the screen.
Yeah.
So we have the unstable flag. Yeah, quick note here. The flags SDK is still experimental. That's why the unstable. And just as you said, the code is very simple. We have, in this case, we have the summer sale. So we have the flag function, two parameters. One is the key, the other one is the function decide. And we can also jump into the usage directly in the component, where we basically import the flag, the show summer sale, and just render the content based on the flag, which is that simple, very standard React code, basically.
The really cool thing about this architecture, we can say, of this flag function is that decide function is like the main heavy lifter of our logic, and we can handle it in several ways. So first of all, as you can see in our example, we have decide return that is hard-coded and it is false. So basically what that means is for production purposes it will be always toggled off, but in development mode we can use Vercel toolbar to manually toggle it for just preview purposes. So even with such a case we can also preview it manually while in development mode. And the second nice thing about that is that we can use it with or without an external provider. So you mentioned Unleashed. We can link Unleashed easily to this decide function to decide if the feature flag should be toggled or not. But we can also use a more simplistic approach, for example, with environmental variables. I mean simplistic, I was like more minimalist without more external libraries. The one downside thing about environmental variables is that we would need some of the deploys, some redeploys when changing the value, but we also have a workaround with that with Edge config. So there are a lot of possibilities with feature flags and implementing them. And the one thing that I think we can go through is how to strategize using feature flags in the code. So the first thing that comes to my mind is middleware. We can also use feature flags in middleware just as we use them in our React server components. We also need to remember that it is only able in app router, so no pages support for that. But we can handle the flags into two different manners. We can use it directly into our React server components, which would be just a feature flag dynamically resolved in the component, but we can also pre-compute that and use it in middleware and just pass down the value to our components. But a disclaimer here, as our middleware is a global store, we shouldn't make our decide function logic heavy, as it may decrease performance.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a good catch here. The decide function should be as lightweight as possible.
Yeah.
And a good thing you mentioned also in the middleware. So basically, we have different kind of strategies to use our flags. For example, the middleware, what it allows us to do is, for example, take advantage of static site generation, which is a big pro of using Next.js, especially if you have like some heavy load e-commerce site. You want to have it as performant as possible because every second matters. In fact, every millisecond matters. So just the ability to pre-render the roads as static sites and also take advantage of the feature flags is very handy, especially for the production apps. And yeah, I think we can go further with the feature flags implementation. Just maybe one quick comment here. So we also mentioned the different strategies how to use the feature flags. So I would say maybe for the simpler use cases, so the config with env variables seems to be a very simple solution. And as everybody knows, the simple solutions oftentimes are the best ones. But I would say as our feature flags management grow and we have like a lot of them, we have different variants. We want to, for example, target different audiences. I would say that plugging in some external feature flags management software, such as, I don't know, just the Unleash, would be the way to go. Just to simplify and have a good handling of the feature flags.
Yeah, that's true. And with this, I think we can go further. And the second thing that comes to my mind is if we are talking about marketing team, analytics, etc., we would like to see how our feature flags are performing, monitor them. And we also have some tools built in by Vercel to do this. So we have our runtime logs and web analytics for that. We can simply use it using report value function, which is pretty simplistic. It allows us to do some simple logging and monitoring. Of course, as you mentioned, if we are doing a huge number of feature flags and they are more advanced, we have different variants for different audiences, we would probably want to use tools from Unleashed, for example, or Darkly, or other external provider. But we also have a function in Vercel to do this in Vercel, we can say so. And the one thing that we need to remember for this Vercel runtime logs is that all of our values need to be JSON, serializable.
That's a tough word to pronounce, yeah.
And both keys and values are limited to 256 characters.
Okay, so that's an interesting one.
Pretty nerdy moment, but I wanted to disclaim that.
I mean, like the more details, the better. Actually, I didn't know that, so thanks for that. Another cool thing about feature flags with Vercel would be the usage of the Vercel toolbar. I guess that in one of the episodes we also mentioned the Vercel toolbar as one of the new cool kid on the block within the features.
Yes.
And what it does is especially handy for marketing teams which doesn't possess the kind of the technical knowledge. So thanks to that, with the Vercel toolbar, very easy plug and play straight in the browser. You can inspect how the feature behaves with the feature flags turned on, turned off. You can basically conduct all the testing you need. So, for example, if you are a designer and you want to see how the new implementation behave, you can simply turn on the flag in the Vercel toolbar and just check if everything is working as it's supposed to be. So I would say this is very handy as well.
Yeah. One thing about Vercel toolbar, sorry for cutting in.
Let's go.
I was only on one project that we actually used these features from toolbar and comments and all of that, because in other projects I think mostly we are still communicating, for example, with Slack about something that is to be changed on our website or something like that. But on one project we really used preview mode of our deployments and used comments. We didn't use feature flags then, but the Vercel toolbar is really nice tool when we are working with people who are not strictly tech people, I would say. It allows them to pinpoint the location of something that needs to be addressed in the comments. So it is really, really nice. And the one thing that is also cool I saw recently is that the toolbar got an update, mostly UI updates, so it's more compact and minimal, because I don't know if you saw that, but earlier this toolbar was taking some space on the website, and right now it's much more minimalist, so it takes less space and it's nice. And the other thing that it's nice to disclaim is that toolbar has its own Chrome extension. So if we want to like have the consistent behavior of turning on and on the toolbar on our preview developments, then I would encourage everyone to install that.
Yeah, sure. That's a good recommendation for the Chrome extension. And yeah, I would say also here in the Vercel toolbar, regarding the comments you said. So as I imagine, if you have a much bigger project with some, for example, other teams, like having all the comments straight within the Vercel toolbar could be very handy, because from my experience, when we had everything on the Slack channel within the threads, very often we would lose some context, and later on searching for the answer in the threads was very time consuming. So having these comments in one place, I think it would be very handy also for bigger teams especially.
Yeah, the greatest, I think, challenge with this one is communication, because we need to define one source of truth for our comments. The one thing I really hate about working in a team is when the communication is not going well and we have different sources of truth.
Oh yeah,
so
that's
for example,
the worst thing ever.
We have comments on Vercel, we have messages in Slack, we have comments in Jira, and you don't know. And sometimes one comment can be, oh, it's really good on Jira, but the other person says on Slack, hey, we need to change something, and you don't know how to treat them separately. So yeah, the communication is key, even when it comes to Vercel comments.
Yeah, for sure. So another thing worth mentioning within the flag management, also A/B testing within the flag management, I would say, is the incorporation of analytics here. Yeah. So basically, as we roll out the features, one of the vital things within the feature flags is also very precise monitoring and seeing which one behaves better, where the user clicks, to be able to actually evaluate which variant of the feature flag is the better one. So the big thing we have to keep in mind while implementing the feature flags is also having the good analytics within. And also Vercel gives us the runtime logs and the web analytics, which we can hook into the feature flags management. But also, if you want to, you can basically use any custom tracking as you want. For example, last time when we used feature flags, we also used segment for tracking the events. So basically, you have a very broad choice of tools you can incorporate to enable good tracking there.
I think Datadog is also pretty advanced stuff and allows a lot of different analytics operations. It's really nice, especially for enterprise grade applications. I think the overall trend is to be really precise and more in depth with analytics than it was before. a few years back we were using Google Analytics and only watching how many views we have and from which countries. And right now we can hook our analytics to every event that is coming up on the page, every button click. We have visual heat map to see where the viewers are spending most time. So it's really great. I mean, it's really great for companies and products and people who like to see this data, but it's a bit more complex for us developers because we need to add a new layer of abstraction, but there is always a trade-off. So
Yeah, exactly.
It's really nice that Vercel comes with some solution and helps us simplify it, so we don't have to spend additional time building it from scratch and reinventing the wheel. Yeah, I think this can lead us to one more really crucial thing about implementing feature flags, which is the recently popular question server-side or client-side rendering.
This is the exact question I wanted to ask. So the big benefit of using the flags in Next.js is the possibility to leverage the server-side rendering. So basically, imagine a case where we use the flag client-side. So the first thing that comes to my mind is the layout shift. So basically, on the client, we have to await the status of the feature flag, and based on that, we can just modify the HTML client side and then render the desired outcome we want, which is not ideal. The server-side solution fits much better here.
Yes.
And the other thing is that if we have client-side code with exposed feature flags, if you're more tech guy, you can simply just go to the source code, and it can also lead to some security issues and
Yes,
just the risk of other people seeing the feature flags variant that they are not supposed to see.
Yeah, that's actually the case I wanted to talk about later.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, it's really nice that you mentioned it. And with feature flags, we highly recommend to server side. That's why the whole feature flag as a code movement appeared from Vercel side, and the whole SDK purpose is to overcome these issues with client-side client-side rendering, client-side storing our feature flags. So yeah, I think these are the main implementations and strategies. And the one thing I would like to also mention, actually two things, are the state before feature flags SDK and what will come after. So as you mentioned, with these challenges that we have regarding feature flags on the client side, we have several cases of really big products, big companies that were using feature flags previously. We had some customer providers, but we also had some I would say less than ideal setups here and there. For example, with Twitch TV, the big streaming platform, we just had a big JSON file that was handling all of our feature flags, and it was client side. So if you had some technical knowledge and knew how to use Chrome developer tools, for example, or any other browser developers tools, you could just see the list of all experiments, even these that were not enabled for you specifically. You could override them, so you could, for example, enable yourself some hidden feature and see what Twitch team is preparing for the new update. So this was not ideal. It's nice that currently we have a better, almost out of the box solution for that. It's still experimental, but it's looking good. I was using it, not maybe as much as you did, but overall it seems working really great for its purpose. And the second thing, most I think broad, is how do you see the future of feature flags maybe?
Yeah, sure. Maybe just quickly coming back to the JSON file. I mean, like, it doesn't feel like a good solution at all, especially in such a big product like that. So the server-side flag handling is a really cool thing to implement. And also just, being able to roll out stuff to production and just, being able to switch the feature flag in any moment if you see that things go wrong, makes even deploying on Friday evening not so scary with feature flags. I mean, like, don't do it anyway on Fridays, but, still.
I always feel scared on on Friday.
Yeah. I mean, like, the feature flags give you, like, just the cushion of safety, while deploying. So this is very cool. And regarding the future of feature flags, I mean, like, to be honest, in any modern e-commerce store where you have a lot of users, or just basically any app where, the downtime is just, losing money, and also testing new features, where one layout can provide much better value for the business in terms of conversion rates, for example. I think that every big app should incorporate these strategies to roll out, and just basically any big system, big app with some user base basically should take advantage of using systems like that.
Yeah, the one thing that also comes to my mind and is directly related to this podcast is AI. So I think feature flags are the NextGen Web feature, and with the enhancement from the AI, we could also improve the marketing analytics side of our feature flags, because we can use it for targeting audience. We can use it to automate some of the processes related to feature flags. For example, we can track what kind of audience is using our application, and when creating a new experimental feature, AI would help us identify to which users we should enable it to test it out properly, or maybe help with some smooth rollouts of our A/B testing features. The overall point is that I think that combining AI and things like feature flags will even further push the whole marketing analytics UX side of applications further and for the better.
Sure. So if you guys thought that AI word counter would be 0 today, psych, it is not. For sure, we had to bring the topic here. So yeah, Philip, that's a very good insight into the future. As you said, basically with the pace of development of such tools, I think they're going to be implemented, in a natural way in managing feature flags, especially having some summary and intelligent insights into the data we are getting, especially where you have like big volumes of data, for example, in A/B testing, and you want to have the insights very quickly. Tools like that come very handy and can give you basically data-backed solutions and decisions the business can make in order to just make the product better. So yeah, I think we've covered a pretty broad range of topics here regarding the feature flags. Anything you want to add for feature flag management?
I think we've covered all of the main features. I can only add that I love artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
Besides that,
Same here.
Everything was told. So, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, sure. So if you guys like this content, as always, feel free to like, subscribe, and leave your feedback in the comments. If you're a business owner and you haven't implemented feature flags yet, we encourage you to do that, especially if you have large volume of users. You can also, make your developers' life easier with safer rollouts and, just implementing the A/B testing.
Or contact us and we'll do it for you.
Yeah, for sure. That's a great take. So, guys, thank you for watching and see you in the next one.
See you.